not equal iniquity or malevolence, hostility.
A pleasant good
or
afternoon to
hostile
each and everyone
action
viewing on the Barbuda channel
is
and
what
listening
the
on
Bible
Facebook Live and our YouTube
wickedness.
page. My name is Star
So
George,
when
and we
you
are back
see the
in the
term
studio
iniquity,
with none other than Mr.
references
John Mussington, the
witchcraft.
chairman of the Barbuda Council, and Miss
In the
Krista Von
1960s,
Hillebrandt. She is our technical person for Barbuda for the National
there was a
Oceanic
show
Atmospheric
that was produced,
Administration from America, and
And it
she's
used to
representing the beautiful island of
air
Puerto
every
Rico.
day
And the last time
in the
you've seen the three of us together,
in
we were at
Antigua
the
and
community
Barbuda.
center in January talking
The
about
show-
tsunami preparedness for Barbuda. So now they're back a few months after to put an exercise into motion. So I'm going to turn over the floor to Ms. Krista Von Hillebrandt and Mr. John Mussington. Good afternoon to you two.
Good afternoon, and thank you for that introduction, Star. It's always a pleasure to be back in the studios of the Barbuda Channel. And today's showing, I must say, is one which is very important for the community of Barbuda, because we are going to be dealing with the next step, and we have several steps to go in terms of becoming tsunami ready. So this next step involves us actually doing an exercise. But before I get to the details with regards to the exercise, I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Krista. She's our technical expert who works with NOAA, and she is here to guide us in terms of those technical aspects with regards to how to get to that level of being tsunami ready. So, Krista?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Star. Thank you, Mr. Mussington. It's really, I feel blessed to be able to come back for a second time here to Barbuda and to continue with advancing the implementation of the UNESCO Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission Tsunami Ready program. But before we go into little details about the program, I just want to remind our listeners and our viewers why this is so important. Why is it important for Barbuda to be ready for a tsunami? Barbuda is one of the 900 communities in the Caribbean that have been identified at risk from tsunamis. And it's at risk from tsunamis because there's faults extremely close to the island that can generate big earthquakes, and those earthquakes can generate tsunamis that can reach the shores of Barbuda in very short time, maybe similar to what happened in 1690. There's other faults that are a little further away, the other side of the Caribbean, which would take a little longer, like 3 hours to get here. And there's even the possibility of an earthquake that could be generated off Portugal, like it happened in 1755, and those waves can reach here. And what we want to make sure is that everyone is prepared to respond on a moment's notice. These are very fast onset events, tsunamis. There are a series of waves that are generated when the ocean water is displaced, usually by an earthquake, but it also could be a volcanic eruption or a landslide. And then when this displacement happens, the waves are put in motion and they start moving as fast as a jet plane in the deep water, and then they reach the shores of areas that are close or far away. So we have had over, in the Caribbean, most people don't think about being tsunami country, tsunami region, but there have been 70 tsunamis in the Caribbean. There have been 4,500 people that have lost their lives, and that's a lot of people. And we know that they can happen at any moment again. We don't want to be in the situation that Indonesia and Indian Ocean were just a little bit over 20 years ago, when a 9.1 earthquake occurred, sent out waves to over 18 countries. People didn't know what to do, and 225,000 people lost their lives. So we want to avoid that happening in the Caribbean. The Caribbean has the same amount of tsunamis in percentage of worldwide tsunamis just like the Indian Ocean. So we know it's just a matter of time that another tsunami hits the Caribbean. We don't know if it will hit Barbuda or if it will hit Puerto Rico or will hit Nicaragua. That we're not sure, but there'll be one. And when that moment arrives, there's something that Barbuda is going to have to do to protect life and protect property And for that, the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, and it's over 150 member states, including Antigua and Barbuda, one of the newest countries to join the IOC as a full member, approved in 2022 a set of 12 steps that a community needed to take to get ready for a tsunami. And when we were back in January, when we were here, we had already taken a few of those steps. For example, we had done the tsunami analysis, the tsunami hazard assessment had been done by Dr. Diego Arcas, one of the few tsunami modelers globally. And he looked at all the over 50 tsunami sources in the Caribbean and across the Atlantic Ocean, and he determined how all these different sources and the worst case scenarios, how they could affect Antigua. And it boiled down to basically three sources that are just offshore to the northeast and to the east of Antigua and Barbuda that could affect the region. And so he mapped the areas that would be flooded and identified areas that would not be flooded. So that was a key step in tsunami, in our tsunami awareness. And he evaluated these three sources, the worst case scenarios that he evaluated, included earthquakes of magnitude 8.5. That is an earthquake that is 1,000 times more powerful than the earthquake that you felt on the 16th of May, just 10 days ago. And so based on, we were looking at really worst case scenarios when we were doing that modeling, and that modeling was done. So, and so we determined that there are areas in Barbuda that are going to get flooded, but there are a lot of more areas that are not going to get flooded. So that was where we stood on May, and so now we're come back and working on some more steps towards this tsunami-ready journey.
So I was just about to say to you, we had an earthquake, a 6.5 magnitude earthquake on the 16th of May. And the last thing that ran through my mind, I was like, there could be a tsunami trigger, and we have not done an exercise yet, especially in Barbuda. I won't say for Antigua because Antigua has done so already, but we're like, what are the people going to do? Are they going to run to the beach? If they're at the beach, are they going to stay at the beach? Like, what was that? That's where my mind went. And I was like, worst case scenario, this could be our reality. And I just want to say thank you before we go any further for the initiative that you all are putting forward, especially getting people ready for worst case scenario, because we just had an earthquake last night. A lot of people didn't feel it. These are just the aftershocks of that 6.5 magnitude earthquake, and a lot of people don't really tend to take earthquakes seriously. And a lot of people would like to see on social media, like, oh, I fell down, or somebody fell down, it's my bad. But the reality is we could suffer major damage, especially from a tsunami, and they can be triggered just like that. So, Mr. Mussington?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
So, what are we doing here now? So, with that introduction and the backbone which was set in terms of why we're doing what we're doing, remember we have a 12-step process to become tsunami ready. So, as you're saying, Star, what would we do if we get the worst case now? We're not ready yet. So, we're in the process of getting ready. And those 12 steps, fortunately, we have completed a few of them. We have made our assessments. We have done our evacuation maps and all the other processes there. So that's the second step, preparedness. And then our final set of steps is to fine-tune our response to get our tsunami readiness plan in place. Now, Barbuda is in a particular situation because, unfortunately, we are living in a zone where the Caribbean in from Jamaica, Puerto Rico, going all the way down to Trinidad. You see that curve there? We're sitting on the edge of a plate. And that Caribbean plate butts into the American plate, and they move at some point in time. So all the volcanoes you see in the Caribbean actively now, the Soufrières as far down as St. Vincent, the Montserrat Soufrière, which is close by to us, that's telling us that it's an active zone. And every time these plates shift, you're going to get an earthquake. Okay? So for us in Barbuda, we are sitting in an earthquake zone. We are also in the hurricane belt. And whenever you have earthquakes, we're in danger of tsunami. So we have to be prepared on several fronts. So tomorrow's exercise that we are planning is to make sure we're one step further on that preparedness road. So what are we going to be doing tomorrow? We've done some groundwork, and as I said, we have created our tsunami maps. Okay? So this is an example of our map, and let me go through at this point what this means. All right? So on our tsunami map, and this is a map of Barbuda, you're going to see some areas in yellow and an area in green. Okay. So all the yellow areas you're seeing on the map, those are the areas that are hazard zone. Okay, right? So wherever you see yellow, and this map is going to be posted in very prominent areas in Barbados, for example, the council admin building, the community center, so everybody can look at it and see where they lie. But where you see these areas of yellow, those are the areas that are going to be affected by the water coming in a tsunami. This area in green, this is the area which is not going to be affected. So based on the modeling that we brought in our scientists to check out all the data and to see the worst case scenario, these areas in green are the areas that are not going to be affected by the tsunami water. Okay? So we want us to be very much aware, and this map will tell the tale. Okay? So in the green area, we have located certain spots which we call evacuation points and assembly points. So once you get a warning that a tsunami is likely to happen, then everyone need to move from these yellow areas into these red points in the green zone, where we have them as assembly points, and those should be points that will be safe or should be not affected by the waves. So this exercise that we're having tomorrow is to bring everyone closer in their awareness as to what needs to happen, where they need to go, how they need to get there, what time they have in order to get there. So in the event that worst case scenario happening, then we know what to do. So that's part of our preparedness. Now, also in terms of our preparedness, we have created a number of signs. So for example, this sign, you will see several of these posted around Barbuda, and they are going to denote the yellow areas, the tsunami hazard zone. So all those areas that are located in the yellow, once you see a sign like this, you know that in the event of an earthquake, first thing I need to think about, move away from these areas. All right? Now, when you move away from those areas after an earthquake, where do I go? The next set of signs that you're going to see, these are going to mark the routes that you take. Which road do I walk on? You know, some people will have at the back of their mind, anytime earthquake come, head for Highland. Okay? Well, we've fine-tuned that now. We not only know that we head for Highland, we know which road to take, and you're going to have these signs, and they're going to have arrows, some pointing in one direction, some point, but they're going to tell you in no uncertain terms the direction you must walk in to get to those zones that are safe. So for tomorrow's exercise, we're going to be focusing very heavily on our students, our young people, because during the course of any day, our young people are going to be in school, although the earthquake can come at night as well, but we need our most vulnerable members of the community to know and understand what they should do in the event of a hurricane. So we're going to start with the schools, Holy Trinity in particular, and we're going to physically walk that route. Now, this sign that you see in front of you, where you're focusing on it now? Okay. And notice what it says? Tsunami Assembly Point. When you look at the map, you'll see these red dots. That tells you it's an assembly point. Notice on there, that red dot, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these areas around Barbuda located in the green zone. And so these signs will be placed at those points so that everyone knows that is a place to be whenever you get an earthquake. So for tomorrow's exercise, this is going to be up on Louis Hill, next to Sir McChesney George Secondary, and our route will practice to get there. For the information going forward, because we are supposed to be tsunami ready, we should be graduating sometime next month or by July at the latest. And in graduating to tsunami ready, we will have everything in place in terms of these signs and so on as to what people need to do. We also have brochures that will indicate in detail. Now, we're familiar with that, Barbudans, because, every year we have to do our hurricane readiness and so on, and we have our disaster plan for our hurricanes and the documentation and so on. We're adding to that now. What do you do in a tsunami? So these will outline, and we have many of these that we can pass around to individuals so that you have a record in your home, in your car, right, as to the steps that you must take in the event of a tsunami. So we have for the community what we do as a whole, and we have individual steps that we can take in the event that we have a tsunami. So I just want to appeal to all Barbudans, everybody in the community, that tomorrow is very important, because what it will do, it will take us a step further in terms of our preparedness, and most importantly, it will tell us in a real way whether what we have sat down and planned so far, whether they actually work. So it's a dynamic situation, because walking on that road with the young people and so on, and the teachers and our experts, ideas will come up. And when we see practically, we may come to a point and say, okay, you know what? This doesn't work too well. And so we can make the adjustment. Or somebody might have a suggestion, look, should we do this? But at the end of the day, we have done this test run, we have done this exercise, and so we are another step further in terms of our preparedness. We are ready, and that's what we need to be able to say after June when we graduate. Okay?
Yeah, and I just want to add another exciting component to the Tsunami Ready implementation here in Barbuda. And just want to stress, I remember I told you there was 900 communities that are at risk from tsunamis. Currently, there are only 80 communities that have followed the Tsunami Ready guidelines, are in the process of becoming tsunami ready. Only 80 of the 900. And one of those is Barbuda. So Barbuda is in the forefront of tsunami preparedness in the Caribbean. Yay. In addition, so that's very exciting, yes. And and the other one, Antigua has one other, St. John's, the town, the urban area was recognized as tsunami ready by UNESCO in 2020. So they're in the process of renewing have to renew their recognition. So, but I wanted to say we have something super exciting. Whenever we implement Tsunami Ready in different places, we look and see what can we do and what can we share and how can we share the experience of one community with other communities in Antigua and Barbuda, in that country or in that region or even in the world. And through the funding that has been provided by the U.S. Department of State for this effort, we allocated some of the funds to produce a very special video here in Barbuda, and it is going to feature the students of the primary and secondary school, and we've contracted a company and they've composed a song, and the students are playing their steel drums, and they're going to sing the song, and they're going to talk about the journey of Barbuda becoming tsunami ready. So pretty soon you'll see tomorrow those of us that join this walk. So we're test walking the evacuation route tomorrow from Trinity up to Louis, going to the secondary school, and then beyond that to Louis Hill. And so we're hoping to be able to give you a feel, the vibe. We hope to be able to play that song and to keep those students, energized as they make that 30-minute march from the school. So this is very exciting. I just wanted to share and thank the schools, both Trinity School and thank the secondary school, Mr. Mussington, that helped coordinate this. We've brought in some real world-renowned experts in doing videos like this, and so I'm very excited that the children of Barbuda, the students at Barbuda, are going to be featured. And I've worked on, of those 80 tsunami-ready communities there are, I've probably been involved in 77 of them. I mean, I have been behind and with these communities. And every year when we get funding from the U.S. State Department to do these tsunami-ready projects, I always wanted to do Barbuda. Both Barbuda and Puerto Rico, we suffered tremendously in a most terrible fashion, the hurricanes.
Yeah.
In your case, Irma, we suffered Maria, but Irma came before Maria, and I just recall seeing the images of devastation. I was familiar with Barbuda because I had helped in the project to install the sea level station where the ferry dock is. So, I was familiar, and just seeing that devastation, then knowing that you all had to evacuate, and I said, well, it takes time to recover from that, so we can't just say, okay, well, let's just get ready for a tsunami. Yeah, we've gone through traumatic events. Puerto Rico, we stopped our tsunami-ready activities basically for a year just to try to recover and get back into our motions. But I really wanted to come back because who better than Barbuda understands the importance of getting ready for those infrequent events.
Yes.
You have learned that infrequency does not protect us. The fact that you don't have hurricane category 5s going over Barbuda every year does not make it immune to those happening. It did not make you immune to that, did not make Puerto Rico immune to this type of event. So therefore, tsunamis are, yes, they do not occur frequently. There have been, but they do occur. And as Mr. Mussington explained, you are sitting at the edge of a tectonic plate. And yes, luckily, yes, we wish the earthquakes would only always be 5s and 6s. 6.5s are okay. But once you hit that 7.0, 7.1, we know that capacity of the earth to really produce this massive shaking or shifting of the seafloor, and then that transferring the water, these tsunami waves being generated, can happen. And it's our reality. So we can't just be complacent. We need to get prepared. So congratulations on this path. And I hope that soon we'll be back and we'll be able to celebrate together as a community a significant advance in the preparedness efforts here in Barbuda, and that you be a shining example to other communities around the world, that how it's done, how we can get together and working together across countries and within communities.
Thank you so much, Krista. And Mr. Mussington, before we go, I want you to show the map one more time. I'm going to have my tech person put the map across the screen so we have a better understanding while you talk about it.
Okay.
All right.
So, this is our map, which we have spent a lot of time consulting, walking on the ground, making sure that things are in place. And so this is the map of Barbuda, and this shows everything that you need to know in terms of our risk and how we should respond and where we need to go. So again, everything that is in yellow, this shows the areas that will be affected in the event that there is a tsunami. And a tsunami is indicated once you get an earthquake magnitude 7 and above. So whenever you feel that shake, you remember and make sure, Barbudans, that this map, when it's placed in public, make sure you locate your home. And you don't, let me tell you from now, you don't need the map to locate your home, because many of the houses, definitely the whole of the village, all the supermarkets down by wharf, going out to Parkway, all of these areas where people live, you're in the yellow zone.
Yep. Sadly.
Okay?
Sadly.
So anytime you get a shake, start thinking about getting to the safe areas. So on the map again, you will see these areas in green. And one thing you know, remember the saying, if you feel earthquake go highland, all these areas in green are actually located in highland areas.
Yep.
So these areas in green, look for the specific red dots. So right next door to Sir McChesney George Secondary School, there is an evacuation point there. Okay? The next area would be close to the water plant. Right? That's another spot. Everybody knows Twofold Bay Road, and going up Twofold Bay Road where you have the solar plant, just above that, where the solar plant is, you have another safe zone there. All right? So those are the three main ones that we need to know. Everybody knows about Glen Road and Shiraz Paddock and so on?
I don't think so.
Shame on you. Anyway, Gut Road, that's the road that will take you up past the paddock, that big paddock where you have all the mango trees, for those of you who like to go and mango trees and so. And Plantation Well, that area which was being cleared for that first airport, is up that road. You notice there's a rise there. That's one of our safe zones. Okay? So when you're in the village and you happen to get that warning, these are the places you head to, and memorize this map. Now let's say you're on the picnic, you're at Fishing Creek, and the earthquake come. What do? You need to understand that you make sure you get on Captain Britton Road, and you try to get as fast as you can. The closest one would be where the solar plant is. Okay? For those of you who take people on tours, you know one of our popular tour sites is actually the Twofold Bay Caves. So if you happen to be out there with a group and you feel that shaking, well, you don't have to go far. One of the safe points is up Gun Truck. You make sure you go up that cliff and you stand on top of that cliff there. That's the safe zone there. For those people who are hunters and those people who love to walk the beach and just walk about Barbuda and so on, let's say you're above the sea cliff and you feel an earthquake. What do? Well, the older Barbudans and those persons who know the wood, they'll know about Ann Pass. And so right around where Ann Pass is, that's one of our safe zones. And there's a road that will get you on top of that rise right there. So if you're in between Twofold Bay, behind those sea cliffs, and you happen to feel it, you head for Ann Pass. Now let's say you're camping out at Castle Hill. Okay? Or you're in Welch, and you feel that earthquake. Then another one of our final safe zones, and let's say at Gramer Landing, and you're camping on that day, and an earthquake comes. You're at Access Beach, Princess Diana Beach they call it now, and you get an earthquake. Where do you head? Now if you're at Princess Diana or at Gramer Landing, the closest safe point to you is to get to Welch's Hill. Those persons who know Barbuda will know where Welch's Hill is. It's on your way to Castle Hill. You get on top of that hill there. If you happen to be between there, you head to Castle Hill itself. So the point is, this map, the work has been done. We know where the safe areas are on Barbuda. We know where the areas are that will be affected by a tsunami. So Once these maps go up, familiarize yourself, and notice I'm using the local terms so everybody will know where to head in the event of a tsunami. So as I said, these will be posted, so everybody will be informed as to what should happen.
All right. So is there anything else you would like to say before we close out?
Yeah, so I just want to reemphasize that the areas that are in yellow, that is based on the tsunami modeling that was done, and so we detected all the areas from all these sources that could get flooded, and then we extended that zone even a little bit more because there's always a bit of uncertainty, and so the area in green was definitely outside of. None of our tsunami runs or models, none of them showed any type of inundation in that green area. The inundation was limited to the yellow area, and even some areas that are in yellow weren't even flooded, but we put them because of precaution and because of local knowledge about the terrain and things like that. So, I mean, we feel comfortable with this. I mean, it's based on the science from tsunamis that could be generated by earthquakes in the region. The other thing, some say, okay, so how much time do I have if I feel an earthquake? How fast do I have to get to Ann Pass, or how fast do I have to get to Louis Hill or Gut Road? How fast? Well, the tsunamis, the worst case scenarios, and what's probably going to happen is the tsunami's going to be generated west of the island. So they're going to be coming from the north. They're going to be, east of the island. I'm sorry, east of the island, right? East, and so they're going to be coming from east to west, and so they're going to hit the east coast first, and that could happen in as little as 15 minutes, and then from the modeling. And the tsunami is going to be biggest on that side of the island. I mean, you can have, wave heights of over 10 meters, 10, 12 meters. That's quite high, but still it's beneath the height of the highlands, right? So it's going to come around, but then because of the friction and because the water becomes shallowing, they are going to lose, the tsunami is going to lose its force. It's going to become smaller. So it's going to start, some of the tsunami is going to go across the northern part of Barbuda and sort of but it's going to start petering out, getting smaller. And another part is going to wrap around, and it will take around 20 to 30 minutes to get to Codrington. So you can have, 10, 15 minutes to get to the east coast, the northeast coast of Barbuda, but then it's going to take a little bit longer to get down to Codrington. So we don't have much time, so we need to get out. The good thing is that in Codrington, we're not going to have those 10 meters and 12 meters. The maximum amplitudes, the size of the wave, the run-up height, was 1.5 meters, so that was not very much. It's not a big wave, yes, just 3 to 4 feet, and it doesn't, so that's why you see that there's much less flooding on the west than on the north or the southern coast. So it doesn't really, it's that lagoon is really helps protect the area. But you still have to get out. You want to get into that green area. As I said, the secondary school, there was no models. Nothing showed that there was any threat of a tsunami. The secondary school, but the primary school, yes. And I just want to know that so it says 3 or 4 feet. Just want to let you know that a little bit over 1 foot of water, we can barely walk. If there's 2 feet of water, it can knock you down. So that's why we need to speed up and get out, because we don't want to be caught up in that water that can be coming down the streets of Codrington, right? That's why we need to be prepared, to be aware. We need to be prepared. We need know exactly what to do. And the only way you can really learn and do this is by practicing. One thing is to see this on paper, but tomorrow we might discover some other things. Why did you take us down the street? Why did you take us all the way over here if we were already safe over here? It was a long walk for the kids, what do we need? What do we need to have in school during this process? So join us. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I hope I see a lot of Barbudans and see a lot of the kids that are very excited because we've talked about tsunamis all the week. They've been seeing videos. So they're ready to walk the walk.
Okay. First, let me say thank you again to Barbuda Channel and to you, Star, in particular, for assisting us, because you play a very important role in terms of getting that message out. We touch many more persons through your medium than anywhere else. And I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, because we're going to learn some good lessons tomorrow. We're going to experience it in real time. We're going to see the glitches. We're going to see the solutions. At the end of the day, in this exercise, we're going to be better in terms of moving forward one step further. So I'm looking forward to working with the children tomorrow. Everybody, we're going to have in real time live broadcasts, right, Star? Of the happenings. So even if you may not be able to join us tomorrow, if you happen to be outside of Barbuda and you tune into Barbuda Channel, then you'll see firsthand how the process is going. And so I look forward to see as many persons as possible participating. The students are going to be focused this time. Anybody in Codrington, know what is happening. If you want to come out and take a walk along that walk, because experience teaches you the real lessons. It's one thing, as they said, to see it on paper. It's another thing to step by step and the heat and so on. So I would advise everybody to experience it.
10 a.m.
And after this first stage, we're starting at 10.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. tomorrow morning. We're starting at 10, we move off from Holy Trinity. And we're going to walk that walk and gain that experience. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody, if not physically, tune into your phones. Okay? So thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much, Ms. Von Hillebrand and Mr. Mussington. Thank you for putting us on the spot, making sure that we are there to show this live. And I want to implore the people of Barbuda, if you can come out, come out. This is a very serious thing that we could experience. We're praying that we don't ever have to experience it, but in the event we have a worst case scenario, this is something that we need to be ready for. And experience is the best teacher. Experience to get out and have some type of practice, and we can see what works and what doesn't work, because this is all for the betterment and the readiness and the safeness for the people of Barbuda. So make sure you tune in at 10 a.m. tomorrow for this exercise. So like I said, with me in studio this afternoon is the chairman of the Barbuda Council, Mr. John Mussington, and our technical person, Miss Krista Von Hillebrand, and she is from the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. And thank you all again for always coming to the Barbuda Channel. You know, we are here to get the word out there to the people of Barbuda and beyond. So without further ado, my name is Star George, signing out, and have a great afternoon.